Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Lamisha here, of course, from LamishaSerf-Walls.com. And today I want to talk to you about something that I think we all can relate to. And this topic really popped up for me when I was working with a client this week who was sharing some really big ideas that she has for this business she's creating. And she was getting some feedback from people that was less than desirable, we shall say, right? It was sort of, warnings and be careful and a little bit of people kind of raining on her parade. And I feel like this is something that happens quite often. And I think it happens for all of us, and the people that are giving us their tips and advice and their thoughts on our life or our life decisions are often, they have good intentions. Let's put it that way. They really do have good intentions. But I want to talk about what it really means, right? What do their opinions, their thoughts, their doubts mean about you and your path, okay? So in a nutshell, I'm just going to tell you across the board, it doesn't have to mean anything about you. It just doesn't. So the way that I typically look at this, and when I was working with this client, this is exactly what I shared with her. You ready? What I told her was sort of twofold. Number one, when anyone tells us anything, when someone comes to us or we're sharing this big idea, we're talking about our book or we're talking about the changes we're wanting to make. And I hear this quite often when people hire me. They say, oh yeah, I told my family, I'm working with a life coach, and they were like confused and they couldn't believe I was making that kind of investment and, X, Y, and Z. What those people are really saying is that they don't believe that's possible for them, or they wouldn't do that for themselves, right? So when someone tells you, be careful, like you don't want to quit your job to start that business because what if the business fails? You know that, 90% of businesses fail within the first year, right? What they're saying is not that you can't do it. They're saying that their belief system about themselves wouldn't allow them to do that. So when they are afraid for you, they're not really afraid for you. They're afraid for themselves. They're saying they don't think that that is a possibility for them. That is not something that they would be able to embark upon. That is not an investment that they would feel comfortable making. It doesn't have to mean anything about you, right? So I think sometimes when we share these things, and I talk about this quite often, when you have an idea and you have a desire and you have this big dream, be careful who you share it with, especially if you haven't really gotten behind it yourself. Like when you haven't really been able to build up that belief system for yourself, treat it very, very carefully. I kind of like to think of these ideas as delicate flowers, right? You want to be really careful because it's just starting to grow and it doesn't have, the strength. It doesn't have the power to kind of overcome someone trampling all over it, okay? So just be mindful of that. So number one, it doesn't have to mean anything about you. It doesn't. It's actually about them and what they believe about themselves. Now, it does mean something about you if it triggers you. If they come to you and they say, you probably shouldn't quit that job, you probably shouldn't get that divorce, you probably shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, and then they fill in the blank with all their reasons, and you feel triggered by it. You feel like you're upset. You are second guessing yourself. You're doubting it. Maybe you get angry with them for telling you that, right? And the reason I want you to look at this is because if they are able to trigger you with their thoughts, it means that there's some level of what they are saying that you already believe, right? Maybe you don't want to believe it, but there's something in there. Maybe you're having some of your own doubts, right? So I had this example, again, way back when I first started this business. I, had the intention that I was going to work my full-time job until my business was, viable by itself, the business income. And circumstances unfolded and I ended up getting laid off from my full-time job. Turned out to be a blessing and a curse all at once. But at the time, people were saying like, oh, you really want to make sure that you have income, like you need to put the business on hold and really go all in with finding a job. And there was a deeper part of me that said, no, that's not really what I want to do. But there was this other part of me that was like, yeah, maybe they're right. I am not making any money. I don't know what I'm doing. How am I going to be able to help support my family? Like, I had all of these doubts. And what they were saying was actually highlighting within me my own doubts, my own fears, my own worries about my ability to create a successful business. So when you are hearing what other people think about your path, know that at first glance, it doesn't have to mean anything about you. It's absolutely 100% about them. But number two is that if it triggers something, I kind of talk about like pushing a button. If it touches you in some way, if you have some emotional reaction or response to it, then there's some investigation that probably needs to happen where you look at, do I think that? Am I feeling fearful? Am I worried that I won't be able to make ends meet? Am I worried that this thing isn't going to work out? And if that's true, then you need some mindset triage, right? There's a little bit of mindset work to do there. But if it doesn't, if they say that thing and you go, yeah, thanks for your advice, but I feel really good about this, then there's nothing there to worry about. They're just sharing with you this idea, this thought, based on their own experiences, what they think is possible for them, and you can go on your merry way. Make sense? So I feel like this is something that a lot of people can get caught up in, especially if we haven't really developed that confidence and that power within ourselves to be able to back up our decisions, to be able to really get behind ourselves when we make a decision to quit a job or get a divorce or, change avenues in our career or whatever it is. Very often we go to our sounding board, we go to our friends, we go to our family, we want to get sort of buy-in on this idea to make sure we're making the best decision. But what this work is really about is learning to really listen to yourself and trust yourself and believe in yourself and be able to back yourself up for the decisions that you make in your life. When you have that mindset behind you, then people can say anything and you trust yourself. You're really solid in your knowing. And this is the kind of work that I do constantly, particularly with women, because we're not taught to do that, right? So I hope this is helpful. So the next time you hear someone giving you advice, solicited or unsolicited, and you feel some kind of way about it, really reflect back on this video and remember that it doesn't have to mean anything about you unless it triggers something. And if it triggers something, then good, you have something that you can work through and something that you can clear. Make sense? So I hope that this was helpful for you. Remember, if this is helpful and you love this kind of thing and you want more of it, make sure you hit like and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss a thing. And if you're interested in going into your own mindset process as we head into a new year and you're curious about what mindset work and this whole kind of mindset energy action plan can do for you, then I encourage you to check out my website. Check things out. I've got some free resources listed for you below. And if it feels like something that you want to explore about getting some mentoring for yourself, I invite you to book a free call with me. Let's see if we're a good fit to work together and we can go from there. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week and I will chat with you soon. Bye.